Call this meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for a pledge of allegiance and a prayer? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for our many blessings. We're thankful to come together as a body, and we ask that you'll bless our president, you'll bless our leaders, and you'll bless this fine city that we can move forward and do what's best for the citizens of Lawrence. We ask as the time comes that we'll leave in safety, and these things we say in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right.
Determination of quorum is next on the agenda. It looks like we have a full house. Comments of council members, special recognitions or resolutions.
Mr. President,
Council
I have a
Freeman?
couple. I was approached by one of my constituents on this concern. For the record, is there an agreement to use the Metropolitan School District of Lawrence Township Clinic for the City of Lawrence employees? And has the school board approved it? And I don't believe the administration has said anything to the council about it, but could this be that the medical clinic is a new option under the health insurance the city has already provided, or whether it's a new type of coverage that the council has to approve? The other one, is there a follow-up from the meeting that Eric Martin had with the Indy Parks on October the 6th? I didn't hear anything back on that. And then also, I wanted to know, does the City of Lawrence Department of Public Works have access to the Marion County Landlord Registry? That's all.
Okay. And when we get down to council,
Can we start back where can you give us some time on these questions?
Oh, that's fine.
When I asked for like 4 hours and you guys
Well-
ask us and I don't really know the answer to some of the questions. Like, what was the one question you asked about?
Well, a constituent came up to me and asked me, employees went from our office to theirs, and they wasn't sure if they were able to use their clinic.
You are using the Community Health Network Clinic.
I told him I didn't know, so.
And that's something that that was a part of our health insurance plan for the employees of the city. And that was December 1st, I guess.
So I assume the people at the Metropolitan School District must not know that.
No, they know that.
Oh, well,
We've been working with them on it for well over a year.
they said they didn't.
Not sure who was involved there, but
They said they didn't, so. And I didn't know if the school board had to approve it, so.
that'd be a question.
okay. Anyone else?
Mr. President,
Council,
if I may, and yeah, I have some questions too. And I'd be more than happy either to put in an information request, as I have done, or if it's something that could be transmitted by the administration at the next meeting. But I had a couple of constituents get with me about this new proposed police station. I thought we were to get maybe an update somewhere around September, October on this new proposed police station. I had heard through the grapevine that they are looking, or the administration may be looking into the facility or the old location where the bar is on Post Road and the railroad tracks, or a possible site. I was curious as to how much we may have already spent on any kind of studies for the possibilities or for the need of such a police station. And if there's any other information that the administration could enlighten us on it, I would like to hear it. And And like I said, if I need to make an information request, I would gladly do so, or if not, we'll just wait until next meeting.
All right. Anyone else? I got a couple of things. One, safety lights, Oak Landing Elementary School, and that zone. That zone has, from 6,500 up to 6,900 has already been deemed a school zone, but there are no flashing safety lights in that area. So if we can get someone on top of that, that would be nice. And secondly, I left a message on Mr. Fenwick's voicemail about a detailed billing of the Barnes and Thornburg from the water utility bond. So I would appreciate it if we can be privy to that information as well. Anyone else at this time? Okay. Next on the agenda, we have signing of the vouchers, approval of claims, and authorization of payments. Is there a motion on the floor to pay the bills?
Make the motion.
Motion, Counsel Freeman.
Second.
Second, Counsel Chavis. Any discussion? All in favor by a show of hands? Any opposed? Motion carries, unanimous. Report of committees, none. Unfinished business, proposal number 15, 2017.
Proposal number 15, 2017, introduced by Counselor Giles, a proposal for an ordinance for appropriations and tax rates for the 2018 budget year.
Is there a motion on the floor for approval of proposal number 15?
I'd like to make a motion for approval.
Counselor Giles,
Second.
second, Counselor Chevlot. Any discussion? All, okay, is that 15 and 17 both? Or is it just 15? Okay. Okay, so we're voting on the amended version of proposal number 15.
First, you have to vote to accept the amended version and then adopt it.
Correct.
Right.
We need to do that.
We need to do that tonight. Yep.
Accept the amended version.
Okay, so that's, everyone clear about what's happening? We're gonna approve or go forward with the accepting of the amended version, then the adoption.
Giles, you want to withdraw your motion?
Yeah.
There you go.
Right. So I would like to withdraw my motion, and I'd like to make an motion that we accept the amended version of proposal 15.
Okay, is a second?
I'll second.
Second by Counsel Parker. Any discussion? All in favor by a show of hands, accepting of the amended version? Any opposed? Unanimous on 15. Now, is there a motion on the floor for proposal number 15?
Yes, I'd like to make, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for approval for the amended version of proposal number 15.
Okay,
I'll second.
well, we're still on 15.
Correct.
Right, okay. So we're all tracking,
Yeah, so
right?
I-
Okay,
he's, uh,
okay. All right, it's been motioned by Counsel Giles, second by Counsel Chevlot. Any discussion at this time? All in favor, by a show of hands? Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous for proposal 15.
And everyone will need to sign it at the end.
Everyone clear? All right. All right, proposal number 17, 2017.
Proposal number 17, 2017, introduced by Counselor Giles, a proposal for an ordinance fixing salaries of appointed officers and employees of the Police Department and the Fire Department for the 2018 budget year.
All right, this would be the same process for the accepting of the amended version. Is there a motion on the floor for the amended version?
Mr. President,
Oh, well, okay. Ladies first. Councilor Chavis.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the amended version of proposal number 17.
Okay, the amended version.
I'll second.
Second by Councilor Jones. Any discussion on the amended version of proposal number 17? If not, all in favor by a show of hands, accepting the amended version. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Now, moving right along for proposal number 17. Is there a motion on the floor?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve of Counselor Chevlot. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Jones. Any discussion? All in favor by a show of hands? Any opposed? It's unanimous. All right. All right, next on the agenda, we have new business. And under new business, we have proposal number 20, 2017.
Proposal number 20, 2017, introduced by Councilors Chevlot and Chavis, a proposal for an ordinance to use unused and unencumbered tax levy funds to fund the trust fund for the other post-employment benefits.
Mr. President,
Counselor Chevlot.
I'd like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to suspend the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Wheeler. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Counselor Wells.
I just got this information on this proposal 20. I don't know when the rest of the counselors got it. I got it on Friday. I've been out of town. And no one bothered to call me and tell me that we were looking into suspending the rules. I'm not prepared to vote on this tonight. If someone would have called and told me about it, made me aware that we were going to suspend the rules on this, I would have most gladly have looked into it
Okay.
and been a little more aware of it. But,
So, Mr.,
excuse me.
pardon me.
But once again, yeah, I've had this conversation that communication would be paramount for the administration and all of us. Seems to be a problem with it. And so, anyway, I'm not prepared to vote on it.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor Wells. Counselor Chavis, you had some comments?
Is proposal number 20 the one that we discussed at our last council meeting and asked questions?
Ma'am. If I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Counselor Chevlot.
It's rewritten, as I stated in my public comment, it's rewritten as, because we can't vote on an existing ordinance that was voted down. So I, and with Councilor Chavis' help, tried to provide some clarity specifically about the monies that go into the general fund, and then once it's in the general fund, it then gets moved into the trust fund that's specifically to help pay out any of the unfunded liabilities. So that was my attempt to do this, and my attempt to try to bring it to suspend the rules was so with it, we then can have a discussion about it tonight.
Yep.
So,
Well, we're in the middle of it. So this is about the suspension of the rules, and any further discussion at this time? All in favor by a show of hands, suspending the rules for proposal number 20. Any opposed? Oh, just
I'd like to
abstain?
abstain.
Okay. We have 8 and 1 abstain.
Mr. President,
Counselor.
the council rules, section 4A, say that no ordinance shall be adopted the same day that it is introduced except by suspension of the rules requiring a unanimous vote of all council members present.
Okay. All right. So we can't break the law or break the rules. So, okay. All right. So under counselor's advice, we would have to put this in committee.
So can I ask a question, President Williams?
Counselor Chavis.
Because this item is critical for the purposes of passing our budget, I'd like to request that we have a special meeting because I don't feel like we have the luxury of waiting until our meeting, our next meeting to discuss this.
Yeah.
So that would be my request.
So let's all get on the same page. So it's an understanding of proposal number 20. It was about getting it rewritten so that we can have clarity on moving these monies, right? And we're tracking, right? So, Councilor Wells, now we can ask for a revote, correct? I can ask for a revote?
I'd have to check the Robert's rules on what.
I'm pretty sure we could, couldn't we?
I think it's,
It's not gonna change his vote.
the council rules, isn't it, if someone's in the majority, make a request for a revote?
So someone in the majority can make a request for it.
We can.
Okay.
Couple
So-
things. Yeah, I mean, number one, it might be helpful to have Mr. Fenwick or someone speak to the complexity of the issue of not dealing with this tonight, if he's comfortable doing that. I'm
Yeah.
not making that request, Mr. President, but if you feel it's appropriate.
I'm making that
And then-
request in that tone of voice.
And then, Counselor Wells, just to be clear, I know that some of the issues that you raised with regard to the prior ordinance that was voted down were related to it not being clear about what the intention was for the money and that it was, where it was going to go and that all tracked. And it's my opinion that this ordinance addresses those concerns that you raised last time, which frankly, I think were valid. And also, I'll note for you that the reason, and Kathy can speak to this as well, the reason it didn't get circulated, nothing got circulated this week because of the AIM conference in Evansville. She was gone, and so the timing, unfortunately, was not great this week. And she was not able to circulate the materials until she returned to Lawrence on Friday.
I just got back on Friday. As soon as I got back, I got it out, so.
Well, with all due respect, Counselor, I appreciate the urgency of this, and, I totally appreciate what you just said. However, this is the third time that suspending the rules and voting on something that I wasn't really quite prepared to vote on because no one bothered to tell me about it until I walked up on this Diaz that we were suspending the rules. And Counselor Chevlot and I spoke out in front of the building just a few minutes ago and never said nothing to me about suspending the rules on proposal number 20. Quite honestly, I think it's, I just think it's inconsiderate that we would do this. I mean, this had to have been known by somebody. Somebody had to know that we were going to call to suspend the rules, whether it be the administration or those within this council. And I just think it's most inappropriate to spring this on one or more counselors at the very last second. And this has been done a number of times. And quite honestly, when does it stop? And how do you get the point across that it needs to stop?
So
May I speak into this?
Give me 1 second.
Okay, sure.
Let me say something. So, Counselor Wells, I was just made aware about the suspension of the rules just prior to the meeting. And I understand what this proposal number 20 is all about with the changes that were made by council's counsel.
Exactly.
So we had the opportunity. It's not that we're doing anything new. We're just making sure that the language was correct and following the proper protocol and getting it done. So it was based on some of the questions you had. So I think, in my opinion, proposal number 20 is not going to, it's only going to, it's for the benefit versus anything else. So that's just to let you know that is when I found out as well.
Well, I will add this. I mean, if you want to revote,
Yeah, we checking on that.
revote.
Well, let's let the,
I don't know if
let's
Council.
let Councilor Chevlot speak.
I mean, Counselor, really why this was rewritten is because of Counselor Wells. I mean, he had some legitimate questions. The whole process of suspending the rules isn't uncustomary. It's the opportunity to be able to hear something on the day that our council meets, and so we don't have to delay this any further. And so the suspension of the rules is only to allow it then to be offered up, then get voted in a second, and then have the discussion about the content. So in our attempt to try to be transparent with this, not only state the statute, which was important because it's a legal process, but also to be very clear about the funds. And Counselor Wells, as he stated in the Finance Committee, it was a little bit ambiguous. And so now the ordinance clearly reads, goes into general, and then it compels a general to then put it into a trust fund. So that was the attempt that Counselor Chavis and I was trying to figure out, okay, how can we make it as transparent as possible, address these issues, and to try to get this done before this budget year. So,
Makes sense to me. So, any, Counselor?
One is that Rule 7 does say when any question has been decided, once it be affirmative or negative, it is also never voted on the undecided and upon consideration thereof at the same or next regular meeting, provided that no such motion shall be introduced at the next regular meeting, and the rest of it doesn't is relevant because we're talking about this meeting. So it is permissible, you're correct, Kathy was correct. Two, I hear what you're saying about notice, Counselor Wells. I want you to be aware that in this circumstance, because we are bound by state law with regard to making decisions about the city's budget by November 1st, and this is the last council meeting, regular council meeting, unless we have a special one, as Counselor James has suggested. This is the last time, unless we schedule another meeting. We can deal with that, and I just want to make sure everybody is aware. And the third point is an important one. I want to make sure everyone understands with regard to what Counselor Shevlat said, and that is state law says that we are not, as a city, to leave funds which have not been used for their special designated purpose sitting unused. Those are taxpayer dollars, and they need to go to the general fund. In this case, there's two options. This one is the general fund, so that the taxpayer money can be used and doesn't just sit there, the money that our citizens paid, and don't go towards the benefit of the city.
Right.
So the law is not, and I think the mayor spoke to this at one of our prior meetings, this is not a discretionary issue. This is something we should do as responsible stewards of public funds.
We have to do. State
Well, if I may, I don't want to stand in the way of progress. I want to stand in the way of, what needs to be done for the city. However, this is, as I had said before, this is not the first time that suspension of the rules was done, and I was probably the only one that was unaware of it. This is the third time. And ergo, if this was so important, this was put out on email on Friday. There's been Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and now Wednesday that the administration or somebody could have contacted 9 people and said, hey, we're going to have to suspend the rules Wednesday night because this has to be done, or an email. Christina, you sent me an email on, was it 22? And explained the urgency of that, and we're suspending the rules. And therefore, I spent the weekend doing my diligence and researching it. And so I feel comfortable to vote on it tonight. I just think it's completely inconsiderate to lay this on somebody at the 11th and 7/8 of an hour. And, I totally get the importance of it. I totally do. But I just think that hopefully I've made my point with the administration and leadership here that, a little bit of consideration goes a long way.
So let me just say this for the record. Councilors, anytime you want to propose an ordinance, and if we're going to move on suspension of the rules, let's try to do our due diligence to be courteous towards one another, okay? Is that fair to everyone?
That's fair.
All right? Okay. So, do you want to speak, or are we clear? I think the council have already.
I think we're clear. I was going to say that we are required by state law
Yeah.
to do this. Number two, we have a $5.2 million liability that continues to grow. Therefore, we need to begin funding
Yeah.
that as soon as possible. We just had a retirement in the last 2 weeks that will cost the city $70,000. So this is a real problem that is only going to continue to grow over the years. So it's paramount to address it
Yep.
today.
Thank you, Mr. Fenwick. So we're going to revisit this vote. Now that everyone is clear, is there any more questions before we revisit this vote on the importance of getting this done tonight?
Mr. President, and to be
Councilor Wheeler.
clear, the vote is to is to give us the
Suspension of the
ability to
rules.
suspend the rules. I just want
That's
to make
right.
sure that was clear.
We're going to do that first.
We'll need a motion to reconsider the.
Right.
Suspend the rules.
There we go. We need a motion to
Make a motion to reconsider.
to reconsider. Okay, so
suspension
suspend
of the
detention.
rules. Yes.
All right, there's a motion on the floor to reconsider the suspension of the rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counsel Wheeler. Any discussion at this time? All in favor by a show of hands for suspension of the rules? Unanimous. Motion carries suspension of the rules. Now,
Now that's to reconsider.
to
Now-
reconsider.
Now we need a
Okay,
motion to suspend.
Now, we have to repeat the suspension of the.
okay. So the reconsideration, now we have to suspend the rules.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Motion on the floor, suspension of the rules. Counselor Wheeler, second.
Second.
Second of Counselor Chavis. Any discussion? All in favor? Show of hands. Any opposed? Unanimous. All right. Now we're moving on to
Adopt.
adopt proposal number 2017. Is there a motion on the floor for approval?
Make a motion to adopt.
Motion on the floor of Counselor Silva to adopt proposal number 20. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Chavis. Any discussion? All in favor by a show of hands on adoption of proposal number 20. Any opposed? Unanimous. Proposal number 20 passed. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have proposal number 21, 2017.
Proposal number 21, 2017, introduced by Counselor Williams, a proposal for an ordinance amending the code to establish an all-way stop intersection at Bearsdale Drive and Rosehaven Drive.
All right, just going to go to code. I'm going to assign this to code committee. All right. Proposal number 22, 2017.
Proposal number 22, 2017, introduced by Counselor Giles, a proposal for an ordinance authorizing the issuance of one or more series of the City of Lawrence, Indiana Waterworks Revenue Bonds, Series 2017, for the purpose of providing funds to refund the city's outstanding waterworks utility revenue refunding bonds, Series 2007, and its outstanding waterworks revenue bonds, Series 2009, and to pay costs incurred in connection with the issuance of such refunding bonds, addressing other matters connected therewith, and repealing ordinance inconsistent herewith.
Okay,
Mr. President,
Mr. Giles.
I would like to make a motion to suspend the rules for proposal number 22.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to suspend the rules for proposal number 22. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Counselor Giles.
Because I want to make sure that everyone understands how critical and how important that this ordinance is for the city and the utility. I would like to invite Mr. Fenwick up and let him just put that out there, put the facts out there before we vote, so we don't have any other issues like that.
Thank you. So this ordinance will allow the water utility to refund its outstanding 2007 and 2009 bonds. Collectively, that's about 10 million of bonds outstanding that currently have an average interest rate of about 6%. In the current market, if we refunded those today, that interest rate would drop in half to 3%. So the water utility would save about $1 million over the life of these bonds, or about $100,000 a year. I think the urgency of this is we're in a rising interest rate environment. The Fed's expected to meet again in December with a potential rate increase, and every basis point, which is 0.01%, that goes up, the water savings will drop by 6,100. So each day we wait, we'll potentially lose money. So we want to get in the market in the next 2 weeks with this.
Thank you, Mr. Fenwick. We're still in discussion. Motion on the floor, Counselor Giles, second Counselor Wheeler. Any further discussion on this? We're on a suspension of the rules. All in favor by a show of hands? Any opposed? Unanimous on suspension of the rules. All right. We're here to vote first time on proposal number 22. Is there a motion on the floor for approval of proposal number 22?
Motion.
Motion, Counselor Chavis.
I'll second.
Second, Counselor Giles. Any discussion? Counselor Chevlot.
Sir, this is a collection of bonds, I believe, and there was an attempt of, I think, one refunding back in 2014 that was attempted, but the bond market was not as attractive to us, plus our utility went into junk, so we couldn't place these bonds. But this isn't the same refunding. This is a collection of additional, okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood that it wasn't just that 2014. There's four total. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor by a show of hands? Any opposed? Unanimous. Motion carried for proposal number 22. Comments, administration?
Couple of things that I want to kind of reiterate, and that is that I've no desire not to share questions and answers for you. What I would ask is that we go back and revisit the request I made earlier in the year, is that give me about 24 hours of notice with your questions. I can probably answer all of them at that time. So I'm not trying to avoid or trying to dodge anything. I just need to know a little bit of time on some of the questions you're asked. Now, Councilor Freeman, the one that you've asked about the med clinic, those really are questions for the superintendent of Lawrence Township Schools, but I can answer them for you today for him. They've actually been a part of the clinic for quite some time, back to even when I was still teaching. Our intent was, through our relationship and partnership with Lawrence Township Schools, was to add that as a part of our health insurance plan. As health insurance plans move more and more toward higher deductible to make them more affordable for employees. One way to avoid out-of-pocket expense for employees is to provide a clinic. Essentially, it's a free clinic. If you visit the clinic, you get a variety of prescriptions, and whatever the appointment is, it's free to employees of the City of Lawrence and Lawrence Township Schools employees. So it's a great opportunity for us to partner with Lawrence Township Schools and make the clinic not only expand their hours to the constituents on both Lawrence Township and the City of Lawrence, but also to provide less of an impact on out-of-pocket for high deductible policies. I can't answer the question whether or not Dr. Smith has communicated with the school board. I doubt very seriously whether he has not. He's usually pretty good at letting them know what's happened. He has the same responsibility I do to you guys, and that is to keep you informed as possible on events that I'm controlling in there. So I can't answer the question for you, but I certainly can find the answer to you, on what happens there. But it really is a question for him, and I can ask him tomorrow first thing and get back to you at that point. What was the other one that you asked, Councilor? There was something else that I think that you had asked.
Indy Parks.
Indy Parks meeting.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer for you there. I don't know what the answer to that is. I'm not sure that, I don't know of any meeting between Indianapolis Parks and Lawrence Parks.
No, I got a message from Eric that said he was supposed to meet them on the 6th of October, and I never heard back from
I
him.
haven't heard that either, so I'll try to find out for you if I can in there. So, again, I want to be as open as I possibly can be, and I will try to answer questions that I can. But if you just give me a day's notice, or even day of, I can probably get the answer for you before we get up there. That's so one of the best things about having administrative comments at the end of the meeting is that I can address all of your questions and get you answered as quickly as you can in there. Okay? Thank you.
Now, there may be times that questions may come up that if you're not prepared to answer on the spur of the moment at our meetings, like you've been doing, writing them down. Yeah. So everyone clear on that as well. Okay. If you have an alibi for a question that comes up the day of. All right. All right. Is there anything else from any other counselors that would like to share?
Mr. President,
Counselor Jones.
I prayerfully and humbly wrote something. I felt like the last two meetings, some issues were voted on and there were some harsh comments. and I wanted to address it a little bit, share my thoughts on some of my voting personally, especially on Proposal 19, which was actually 20 tonight. The reason that I didn't vote on that one is I felt like the wording was a little jumbled. It's going to go to a rainy day fund and then back to the general fund, and then we were told the trust that it would go into a trust. And I just felt like as a person up here in the legislative branch that the wording needed a little cleaned up, and it just took a little more time. And I think, just like Councilor Wells said, I think if there was a little more clarity on some of these things, we'd be a little more prepared. And I appreciate Mr. Chevlot and Councilor Chavez for bringing that back up and fixing that. The second point was on proposal number 18 with employee benefits and pay. And yes, I understand there was a finance committee. I was there. Councilor Giles ran it. He did a great job. There was several questions asked, and I actually was one there that did ask questions. And some of them I was told would be clarified at a later date, which I did stay in contact with Mr. Giles, and I actually was told that there was going to be an amendment. And then that night when we went to vote, there was no amendment. I also remember Councilor Chevlot said the administration followed all of their procedures with having department heads meet with employees. Well, I talked to several employees, and I think mostly that's probably true, but there was some employees that were not aware of what was going on, and they had questions. Some of those department heads did say that they also thought there was going to be an amendment. And so therefore, I couldn't vote for that because these employees are the heart of our city. And they work extremely hard, and to come in and try to cut a deficit and them not knowing exactly what's going on, I don't think it was fair to them. And they still have unanswered questions. And, you know, as I look around the group of 9 of us up here, I can honestly say I know most of us up here, and each one of us really try hard to fight for the people in our districts. Sometimes we get a little emotional, sometimes we're a little passionate, but I really truly feel the 9 people up here really care about this city, and I don't think anyone up here wants the city to fail, because if the city fails, we all fail. So I think that there just needs to be a little bit more transparency and communication. Sometimes that means making a phone call. I know when I first started off up here, I got a little passionate, got a little emotional, and I probably made some comments that I later regretted, and I did. And I realized later that that wasn't the person who I was. So since then, I've made a constant effort to reach my hand out, try to meet people, make a phone call on the sidelines rather than up here and do it on TV. So I appreciate Mr. Chevlot, Ms. Chavez for bringing up Proposal 19 back. But as for this, our citizens and our employees, I think we need to really look at all avenues to cut money and figure out a way to pay our deficit. I know we have a deficit. We have to figure something out. But we've been there. This council's been there. We've had to go through the EMS, and there was times where we probably wanted to choke each other. And then there was times with, you know, the water rates. It was difficult. But through the hard work and going back to the drawing board 2 or 3 times, we figured it out and we got it done. And I think that's what we have to do for our employees. I think we need to figure out different avenues. I know 5 or 6 years ago, the retirees, their insurance was cut because of a deficit. And several of those employees, those firemen and policemen over the age of 65 are struggling because of that. And it's easy to go through and ink something to cut a deficit, but it's even harder when you try to figure out a good solution that works for everyone. So I thank you for your time.
Wow. Ditto. Anyone else?
Mr. President,
Councilor Wells.
I would like to parrot a little on what Councilor Jones said, and because I too feel that we received some harsh criticism the last couple of meetings from the mayor and from Councilor Chevlot, in particular on proposal number 19. And as most of you know, as we've discussed earlier, during the finance meeting, my concern was the language of the fact that it did not say that the money was going into a trust. It had just said it was going into the general fund, which it does say that now in Proposal 20, which I'm fine with that now. However, when I questioned the administration about the fact that it didn't say that, I was told, well, you'll just have to trust us. And I don't know about the other counselors, but the statement of trust, it was a deal breaker for me, because I remember promises being made about an animal shelter back in the previous administration. And yeah, Mary, you can, roll your eyes and take a deep breath, but there was a lot of people that believed you when you promised that animal shelter, and now the whole hope of it's gone. So that's one of the reasons why it irritates me to have these things placed upon me, these last-second things, because I like to do my diligence for the people that put me up here. And I don't want to take anybody's word for it out there or here, that I can follow up and feel positively assured that I'm making the right vote. And it's hard for me to do that when these things are dropped on me at the very last second, as they have about the last 3 times. So I would like to say in the future, I think we ought to try to, we ought to try more for communication than for criticism. And and I would definitely ask not to be bashed for not being able to trust, because I don't feel that one was on me. So I appreciate you for letting me say that, sir.
Oh, no problem.
Mr. President, since we're having our words to the wise here today, I do want to say a couple things. One thing is that I do know is that Kathy Walton is an excellent clerk. And she always gets the ordinances out in a timely fashion, that you can take your time and read through these things. If you send Mr. Fenwick an email, or pick up the phone and call him, or call our council attorney, it has been my experience that my questions are answered in a very timely fashion, so that I am more than enough time to be prepared for the meeting. So I didn't want to say much in this meeting, but I do take exception, because I can say that Kathy does a really good job of just distributing information out. The second thing is, I think sometimes as we're critical about these things, I hope to not sound condescending, but one thing that my grandfather always taught me was that the information is in the book. And if you read and you ask questions, your answers will be answered. And so I say that to say, because in really how Proposal 19 was written first, it wasn't written poorly. If you understood the process, it was written in a way that the money had to go to the general fund first. Then you handle, that's step 1. Then step 2 was to move the money into a trust. This money could go sit in, the state statute says it has to go in the general fund. It doesn't say it has to go to anywhere else. We're just putting it somewhere else because of our city's liabilities. So 19 was written in a way just to get done what we had to do. It's just that Jason came up with a creative way to deal with our $5 million deal. So I just want to make sure that the public understands that I'm not saying that. Then we started to talk about the trust, and I think that we kind of mumbled it a little bit because we knew that it was going to go here and here, but the first step didn't say that. And I do understand that 20 now is a little clearer with our full intention, but 19 would have got the work done. And 19 was written the way that it had to be written. We just added a little more flavor to that. So anyway, that's my thing. And the other thing is I would want to make a motion for adjournment.
Well, first of all,
He didn't accept my motion, did he?
you're putting a motion out there, and we're just having last comment. So you withdrawing that, right? That was a joke, right?
No, that wasn't.
I'm asking you because I would entertain that, but I have a comment.
Okay, I'll withdraw.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, look, people. Counselor Jones, I couldn't articulate it better. It's about respect. It's about respecting others' opinion. That's what democracy is all about. And I think no matter what, allow the counselors their due diligence to say what they have to say. No matter we disagree, no matter we agree, it ain't to put down no one. That's what we're here for. And that's what, the people elected him to say what he got to say, elect you to say what you got to say, me, and et cetera. Now, the thing about Proposal 19, the biggest issue for me was that it didn't go through council's legal at first, okay? That was the difference. And when it did, then we understood that there was language that that should be put in there for clarity. And that was the thing for me. So, other than that, let's all get along. Folk, we are adjourned.